In this video, we'll look at modules and packages in Python. First of all, we'll start looking at what a module is. A module in Python is simply a file that contains Python definitions and statements. It allows you to organize your code logically and reuse functionality across different programs. By creating modules, you can split complex projects into smaller, manageable pieces. So let's start by looking at how to create a module. Now, in order to create a module, you just create a file and end it with the py extension. So I'll just create a file called main.py and press enter. By so doing, this main.py file is what? A module. It's a Python module, and then I can write my code over here. It can be an expression or a statement like functions, classes, or whatever. So I have just created a module. So I'll just say print. Let me just say hello Python module, for example, like this. And when I go to my terminal and run the file Python, then the name of my file, which is main.py, I get hello Python module. So by creating, in order to create a module in Python, what you have to do is what? You create a file and add the extension py or py extension. By so doing, you have created what? A module. So I'll go ahead and then create another module called mass operations. So I'll say mass operations .py. So whenever you are creating a Python file or a module that has 2 or more words, you should use underscore to what? Separate them. So like this. So by so doing, now this mass operations .py file or .py file is what? A module. So I'll go ahead and add some Python functions. So I'll just say add numbers, and then I'll say a and b, a very simple function which will just return a plus b, and then another one which is subtract numbers, which will also take a and b as parameters, and this will just return a minus b. Now these functions have been defined in this module. Now let's look at how we can import module, or how we can use code from one Python file in another Python file or another Python script. So once a module is created, you can import it into other Python files or scripts to use its functionality. So there are various ways that we can import what? Code or functionality from one Python file to another. So let's go ahead and look at that. So let's say I want to use the code which is these functions I've defined here, add numbers and subtract numbers. I want to use them in this, what I want to call them or execute them in this main.py file. How do I do it? So first of all, I have to what? Import the Python file. So there are various ways we can import this mass operations Python file. So we'll look at the first one. So I'll just say import using the import statement and then the name of the file. So I'll just write mass operation. You can see that my text editor is even giving me what? Auto completion. So by writing import and then the name of the Python file, I have what? Imported the file, and I can go ahead and make use of what? Its functionality. So I'll just define a variable called, let's say, result, and I'll assign it to mass operations dot. Then with the dot syntax, I can access the various functions or the various codes that I've defined in what? The mass operation module. So you can see that my VS Code is giving me auto completion when I press dot. So you can see add numbers and then subtract numbers here. So I'll just say add numbers, and then I'll pass in some values, some arguments here like this, and then I'll go ahead and then I'll just call the print what? Results like this. And when I go to my terminal and run my main.py or main.py file, you see that we get the result outputted in the terminal. Now I can copy this down and comment it out, or it will just overwrite it, so there's no need. So I'll call the subtract numbers here as well. And when I come to my terminal and run my code, you see we get negative 30. So over here, I'm just redeclaring the same variable name, and then this will overwrite the initial one. So this is one way we can what? Import what? A module or a Python file in another Python file. So it's not only functions. You can, let's say if I declare variables here, I declare a variable, let's say message, and I assign it to what? Let's say this is a math module, and save. Now when I come here and I write mass operations and I use the dot, you can see that I have the message variable here that I can what? Call as well or print out. So it can be classes, functions that you have defined over here. That so the code that are present in what? The global scope here are the only code that will be what? Executed. Any other thing, so when I next another function here, when I write another function in this function, that one will not be what? Available by default in another module. So that you should take note of that. Now let's go ahead and look at another way that we can import a module. So this is the first one, the first syntax. Just writing the import statement and then writing the name of the file. Another name, I'll comment this one out. Another name I can import the mass operation module is by writing this syntax. So I can say from, using the from syntax. So I can say from mass operation, then import. Then over here, I can specify the code or the logic I want to what? Import. So when I look at the auto completion, you see that all the code that has been defined in the mass operation file or module are available to us. So the add function, I can bring in the add function, and then with comma, I can bring in more functionality or code, which is subtract numbers, and then with another comma I can even bring in what? The messages, depending on what you want. So you can see that my text editor is giving me what? This error message complaint. So I'll just go ahead and comment them out, and we'll look at how we can use this one. So over here now, I'll just say result, and then let me write and I assign it to what? Add numbers. So and then I'll pass in some values here. So this one, we don't use the name of the file before and then calling the dot operation on it again. We just have to just use the function like that. So when I go ahead and then run my code, my file, you get what? 30 outputted. And likewise, I can bring comma here and then import what? The subtract numbers function here. I'll copy this one down and then I'll change this one to what? Subtract numbers. Then I'll just pass in some numbers here. When I go ahead and run my file, you see that we get what? The appropriate result. So this is another way we can what? Import code and functionality from another module. Now let's go ahead and look at another way that we can import a module using aliases. So you can give a module or a function a different name using the as keyword. So let's go ahead and look at that. So for instance, in case, let's say our mass operation file is too long for us and we don't want to use that method, I can say import mass operations as mo, and then I'll just go ahead and comment this one out. I'll comment these ones out. So what I'll do here, I'll just say result equals what? Mo, and then dot. Then we can access what? The functionalities there. So I'll just put some values here and then put some values here so that we'll go ahead and run my code. We get the appropriate result. So now this mass operation file is now alias as what? Mo. So now we can make use of what? This mo, which is now the name of what? Our module. So you should take note of that. So this is another way we can import a module from a Python file. Another way we can do this is like this. So I can go ahead and import this add numbers function. So I can say from mass operations import, let's say add numbers, and then here I'll alias the add numbers as just add. Okay, I'll just do that and comment this one out. Then over here, what I'll say is result equals what? Add, and then I'll just put some values here quickly. Let me write that properly. I guess then put the add here right. And when I go to my terminal and run my file, we get the appropriate result. So these are the various ways that we can what? Import code and functionality from another Python file or another Python module into another. Now, there are ways that we can execute a Python file as what? A script. So let's say when a Python file is run directly, the special variable __ name __ is set to main. This allows us to create code that can have different that can behave differently depending on whether the file is being imported as a module or executed as a script. So let's say I go ahead and then create another file, say, or another module, let's say script.py or .py. So I'll just say define some functions here, and then let's see, this will just say print hello from the script file and save. So over here I'll say if __ name equals __ main _, then I'll say what? Call the greet functionality or call the greet function. So when I go ahead and then run this file as a script, so let's say the name of the file is what? Script.py. You see that we get hello from what? The script file. When I go ahead here and then let me see, I'll just go ahead and import the script file. So I'll just say import script here and go to my terminal and then run python main .py. We get only what? 99. So you see that, okay, let me just go ahead. So let me see. Good. So you see that even though we call this function here, it is not being called here because here it is being used. This script here is being used as what? A module. Is imported here as what? A module, but it is not run as what? Each standalone script. So the __ name __ is not variable, is not equal to what? Main. So this code functionality will not be what? Executed. This greet function has not been what? Executed when we run the what? The main.py Python file. But when I go ahead and then run the main.script file, you see that we get hello from the script file. So you should what? Take note of that. That whenever we can run a file, we can run a file as its own standalone script, and then we can run it as what? When it is being imported as a module, depending on what we want. So you normally see this being done in a lot of Python codes, whereby you see this thing being written as if __ name equals this and that. So I can go ahead and then let's say I'll just cut this from here, and then I'll just put it down here like this. So over here I'll change it. So I'll say from, I'll just say from script import, then I'll import the greet function, and over here I'm calling it. So this will only be executed. Let's see what will happen. So when I run main.py file, you see that we get hello from what? The script file, because over here the __ name __ variable is equal to what? Main. So this is the main file. So this code will be executed. So you should take note of that. Now let's go ahead, and one thing you have to note is that since this is an if statement, we can go ahead and then put what? An else statement over here, or an even else if elif statement as well. And we want to confuse this with JavaScript, so we can add what? An elif or an else statement that something else will be what? Executed. So I can say print maybe not executed as a script or something. So you can do this as well, but most of the times you see being this only the if statement being written, and then you are good to go. So I just want to bring that to your notice that this is just what a conditional statement that is being checked, and then whatever logic you put here will be what executed. Now let's go ahead and look at how to create packages. Now when we talk about a Python package, or you talk about packages in Python, a package is a way of organizing related modules in a directory. A package is essentially a directory that contains a special underscore underscore init file underscore underscore dot py file. So let's go ahead and look at the various ways that we can create what a package. So over here, I'll create a new directory or a new folder called operations. And then over here in that operation folder, I'll create a special file called underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py. So you should write the name of the file like this. So this file can contain a code, or it can be left what empty. So in this, by doing this, I have this operations folder is now what a package. So I can go ahead and create different modules here. So what I'll do is I'll create a module called, let's say, string operations dot py, and then what I'll do is I'll just move our mass dot py over here. Okay, so now this mass dot operation is now in this operations folder. So in this strings dot py or py, I'll just go ahead and then add some functions. I'll just say reverse underscore string, then this will just take the string, and then this will just return. So this is a very simple way of what reversing a string. Then another one, let's say capitalize string. So this will take the string, and then this will just return the dot what capitalize, like this. So let's just work with these two functions. So since I've done this, I can come to my main dot py over here and then import from what this package. So let's say I'll say from then the name of the package, which is what operations. From operations, then I can go ahead and then import what the files or the modules that I want. Or another way is that I can say from operations dot, then maybe since we have mass operations, we've worked with mass operations, let's work with the string operations from the package. So I can say from operations dot strings, then I will just import what, let's say capitalize, and then with comma I can import reverse string as well, and then I can make use of them. So you should take note of this as well, that we can create what our own packages in Python as well. So one thing I want you to note is that these are user defined packages. So I can go ahead and create another package in this operations package. So it's just by just creating a folder. Yeah, maybe I'll just say SAP operations, for instance, and then over here, and then I'll create what underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py here. So like I said earlier, this can be left empty, or you can put your code over here. So now this SAP operations folder is also what its own package, which is what a SAP package to what the operations folder over here, or directory over here. So you should take note of that. Now there are packages that have been created. You can use third party packages as well, like Flask, Django, which are available on the Python package index. So when I go ahead and then search for Python package, let me just bring my browser over, tab here. So I'll just say Python package index. You just Google search Python package index over here. So this is just like the the npm, the node package manager for JavaScript. In Python, it is called what? Python package index. There are what? A lot of packages here that you can search from and then download onto your code. So I can search for Flask, for instance, here, the Flask package. So as you can see, the Flask package is here. You can go and then look at more details about how to install it and then what use it. So you can even see the install command over here, which is pip install Flask. Here you can search for Django. Let me just search for Django too as well. So you see Django too is over here. So there are tons of what packages here. A lot of them are here that you can download and install. So these are what third party packages. So you can do that as well. So let's go back to our code. And then moreover, there are third party modules too as well. And then there are standard modules which are present in the Python standard library. There are standard modules too you can work with. And then there are third party modules too as well. And we have user defined modules which we define ourselves. So let's go ahead and look at how we can, let's say, download the Flask package from this. So first of all, what I'll do is, since I don't want to install it globally on my machine, I'll create what you call what an environment variable. So I'll just say python dash m vmv, then I'll say dot vmv like this. So this is how you create what you call an environment variable using Python on your machine. So the environment variable, so when I come here, you see this file called what? This folder over here called .venv. So after creating an environment variable, what you have to do is what? To activate it. So I'll just say source, then the name, then I'll say script, then activate. So now it is now activated, as you can see. So I can deactivate it by just saying deactivate, or by just typing deactivate, and then it is what? Deactivated. So you can see that this signature here is no longer on top of this. So I'll just go ahead and then activate it again. Now what I'll do is what? I'll install the Flask package in my environment variables here. So I'll just go ahead and use UV, the UV here, and I'll say pip install. You might not have UV installed on your machine, because as for UV, it's very fast, so I normally use UV. But if you don't have UV installed, you can just say pip install, then Flask. Okay, and this will install the latest version of Flask. So I'll just go ahead and prefix this with what? UV, and then run my command, and you see that it has already installed already. So what I'll go ahead, so what I'll do is, so now the Flask has been installed in this environment variables. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead, let me see what I'll do here. What I'll do is I'll create a different file called, let's say, app.py. Then over here I'll say import, or I can say from Flask import Flask. Flask could not be resolved just because my environment variables here. So by so doing, by importing Flask, what I'll do is I'll just say app equals what? Flask. To create a Flask app, then I'll just put underscore name it here like this. By so doing, I've what? Create an app instance of what? Flask. So when you go to the Python package index, so when I search for Flask like this, you can see how it's being used or how to use it, or you can go and then look at it. So this is not a Flask project, so I will not go deep dive into it. So I'm just trying to show you how we can download and install third party packages from the Python package index. So you can even see how to create an instance here. So I can go ahead and say the app decorator dot, let's say, maybe route or something like this, and then like this. So I'll just say def index, let me write that well. Then I'll just say it should return what? I'll just put an h1 tag here, hello from Flask like this. Or you can just return a string if you like and do it like this. So this is how we can use what the Python the Flask this thing from what Python. So let me see if I can just run the server. I'll say Flask run let's say app.py. I have to do some yes, I have to do some configurations before this will be can be executed. I have to say let me just go and then copy what is over here quickly. So return hello world, or better still, so I think I'll just leave it here for you to, if you want to explore Flask, you can do that by yourself. There are a lot of configurations that I have to create here myself before this can be executed. Let me, I have to create some environment variables for Flask or something of that sort. I can even set debug equals true here, something like that. And I know this will not solve the problem. I still need some configurations to do, maybe creating something like okay, what I'll do is I'll just say export Flask env to development. Then I'll go ahead and say oh, I didn't write that properly. It's supposed to be Flask env to development. Then I'll say export Flask app, and I'll send it to app.py. And hopefully when I run Flask run again, so now the server is running. It's telling me to do this if name, because what. So I'll just go ahead and I want to ignore that, but I think I just have to do it. This is not a Flask tutorial, but I just want to show you how we can use a third-party package over here. So I'll go ahead and quit the server again and run this. So when I go ahead and visit this in my browser, so it's being opened in my browser, so you can see hello from Flask over here. So whatever I'm returning from this index over here, it's what return from there. So as you can see, then this dev server that's what we call hot reloading. So whenever I change something, instantly it will be what affected in the browser at once. I don't have to go and reload the browser myself. So let me just change this to hey, we did it, like this. When I save and then go back to the browser and then do this, it's still giving us hello from Flask for some reason. As you can see, it has reloaded over here, but I don't know why. Let me just go ahead and then run this again. Then when I reload from here, so you see we get hey, we did it. So that is it for this video about modules and packages in Python programming language. Please like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.